Hello everyone. I know I already have one New Year's video on my channel. I made that video a year ago. It was an interview, but I still decided to make another video about the New Year V, especially since it's more relevant now than ever, not the Ever V here. We'll refresh our memory about what this holiday is, why it came about, what might be wrong or right with it, and how we're meant to celebrate it, see which rituals can be used and which ones might be better to avoid, and overall. We'll break down the entire holiday system, along with the new knowledge we've gained over the past year. We'll also bring in the information from my latest videos, for instance, where we talked about mind manipulation, those about matrix algorithms, plus the matrix calculations I gave you. We'll touch on all of that here and look at certain aspects of this holiday from that angle. Alright. Let's get started. First of all, let's talk about what this New Year holiday really is and why it was introduced. And to noting now there are plenty of theories, some piece floating around all of some these the very traditional holidays. I'll stick to my own opinion and say I'll stick to my own opinion. A very traditional man say this. The New Year is connected to a specific egregor energy structure field. It isn't just a holiday we celebrate every year to mark a new cycle based on the matrix where one cycle ends and another begins at 3-6-5. But there are a few primary details. Here are a few more details. Primarily, these details have to do with shifting calendars, the Gregorian, Julian, and so on. In any case, while we do celebrate this moment of reset or New Year, we're also celebrating a religious egregorial system where there's subclick and orthodox traditions, and that's I actually all agree say it's mainly tied to how says you ask the holiday look like is tied to these I to trust all this holy name by traditions. You both discuss the main reason quote livestock structure that even relates to the solar at all slate. Last year I talked a bit about this, but let me repeat it. This holiday looks more like a major harvest season in terms of energy, a big moment for draining energy. If we think back to my video on matrix calculations, where I showed that cycle of 2 how it's tied together, and how the original 12 was shortened to 9, then how I said that on the real matrix dial there should be 12, but we get shifted down to 9 those last 3 units at 10-11. And 12 dots basically become a time for gathering energy from the entire dial from 1 through 994 on the subtle plane. These final 3 months, or 3 hours, so to speak, they are a period for energy harvesting. See, that's what I see in the matrix. In everyday life, you can observe it this way in October. The frenzy begins with Halloween magical corridors, magical states, eclipses, solstices, and so forth. Fourthly, it all starts ramping up from there and doesn't really let up. Some might have hoped for a little breather on December 1st, but it didn't happen. Things just kept ramping up further. As I see it, this huge surge of energy draining continues right through the end of the year, capped by the New Year celebrations, a holiday celebrated by an enormous number of people around the world, which means massive outpourings of energy. Then at midnight, from December 31st to January 1st, there's a complete moment of reset. A full drainage ZA. Alright, let's talk about something a bit more pleasant, because it sounds pretty negative if we only look at it through the matrix lens. See, the truth is, from another perspective, it may not be so wonderful either, but it's important to keep things in balance. Let's separate a few points. The New Year period in Europe overlaps strongly with Christmas. You sense this warm, Merry Christmas atmosphere everywhere. A holiday spirit, people seem happier. They emit huge amounts of excitement, joy, and anticipation. They feel that magical family warmth. So there's a lot of positive energy pouring into the collective field. These happy emotions feed into a shared energy information field. I wouldn't call it an egregor, though don't confuse those two, for many people still mix them up, but they're completely different energetic structures. I have a whole video about why an egregor is not the same as an energy information field. They're as different as the sky and the earth, like comparing an elephant to a fish. or an elephant to a cloud, they're not the same zero. So this shared energy information field fosters a sense of joy when you tune into it. You feel happiness and uplift. That's not a bad thing to think. In fact, it can recharge you, not in some parasitic way. But by synchronizing your waves with that general vibe of happiness as a celebration fee, it's wonderful to let yourself be distracted and enjoy the holiday mood Z. Z I urge also stable to be considered because it in this process this all of this as there's I will say this is also the big girl side. As holidays also that because holiday becomes a huge egregor and it injects its own cup days into the collective field primarily by pushing a layer of magic Zuwai magic. Because that's the simplest method for those who maintain these egregores to drain as much energy as possible from people see. They do this via so-called matrix clockmakers. I've talked a lot about them on my channel on Fake's Fertile Cell. They perform rituals, conduct magical operations behind the scenes as they're inserting them like a virus into the holiday's overall wave of positive energy G. So it seeps into every person see once inside. It can create harmful effects. If you want to see concrete examples of how this magic manifests, just think about what happens around the holidays, the right before New Year's. Even though everyone's excited, decorating trees, preparing meals, looking forward to gifts as oddly, there's often an increase in minor accidents, petty arguments, and serious quarrels over silly things that wouldn't usually matter there. It's like people become strangely irritable, causing fights or mishaps. You may also see more traffic accidents, more ER visits, them not just from New Year's Eve drunkenness, but from random mishaps during the lead up to the holiday. All of that is the visible layer of this destructive magic that gets inserted Z on the subtle plane. The reason behind it is to generate negativity and conflict, which releases even more energy to be drained. See, on top of that, it can plant destructive algorithms aimed at breaking families up to not necessarily to cause divorce, right, or sewage, but to plant negativity that festers over the coming year. So people argue more frequently view the goal is to keep draining energy. These algorithms remain active for a full year, stirring up conflict within families, resulting in a continuous low level harvest of energy. So, sir, if you decide to embrace the holiday spirit, the happiness, the celebration, the Christmas vibe, be aware of this extra magical manipulation that sneaks in alongside is see separate feet from the chaff and set personal boundaries, telling yourself that you won't accept this magic for I'll enjoy the holiday Z but I'm not letting any dark stuff in. See, since you now know about it, you can mentally put up a wall saying, no, you can't enter here, unless this nasty thing won't get through to me. Magic of this sort creeps in because it's embedded in that shared energetic atmosphere. Last year, I gave the example of a beautiful cake into which a tiny drop of tar has been stirred for. Your job is to enjoy the cake but remove that drop of tar so it won't contaminate your slice. And essentially, this magic emerges from the egregore G because there's the the jig that of Stefan energy people's future wisdom to celebrate. In on to these celebrations, reach out to the people before they in your slice. These this countries. You simply need to reject it. Many people ask me, well, what if my family doesn't understand all this and they consume that entire cake along with the tar? For well, remember that this magic targets the shared reality of your whole family, not just you as an individual. Each household has its own collective realities, since you belong to that family sphere. You can set boundaries that protect the entire sphere. Easy in my family reality. This magic is not allowed, for that's valid and does not violate your relatives' free will. You have every right to shield your shared family reality from that infiltration. Next, let's talk about some key symbols, Christmas trees, Santa or dead Moroz, various holiday decorations, and so forth. So firstly, the matter of a real Christmas tree. My opinion on that hasn't changed. I still see it as a for sacrifice, so literally a living sacrifice Sia, and I can't accept it. I just can't view it as joyful or festive. To have a dying tree in the corner several people who can feel a plant's energy know that trees have souls of a very high order. They aren't just plants. or blades of grass. They are living beings that understand what's happening to them. Many people say that during wildfires or logging, trees feel terrible pain. So a cut tree is doomed to a slow death, so while it stands there slowly dying, we're busy celebrating. It's like feasting while something living is dying right next to you. That's not right, Leo. For those who truly sense energies, a tree is a living being. It's not some random object, and if we think we're entitled to sacrifice it for a week or two of fun, that's just horrifying, just as some folks argue. I'm not a poacher, I'm only cutting down one tree, not 50, or I deserve it. I earned it this year. But do you realize you're literally saying you earned the right for a tree to die? And that logic is the same as conquerors who think they've hoarded the right to torment people. It's twisted. It's basically chaos. So yes, to me, setting up a dying tree to decorate it for the holiday is not about real joy. I suggest if you want a tree, get an artificial one. We live in the 21st century. Fake Christmas trees look great. They don't shed needles. They're not dying in the corner. You can decorate them beautifully. They'll look lovely, and you'll keep a clear conscience. Whoever imposed this annual mass heist says cutting down so many living trees for the sake of a brief display obviously had negative intentions. Some people claim the tree is a Masonic symbol and will take. I said last year, some and will repeat now. A fir or pine is a tree, a living piece of nature, not a Masonic symbol. Others say that a spruce tree is supposedly a symbol of death. But seriously, how is one of the hardiest, most resilient trees on Earth suddenly a symbol of death? Conifers don't shed their needles in winter, though they stay green. See, they're basically a year-round symbol of life. Everything else goes dormant in winter, but not these trees. So how can they represent death? I think that notion might come the funeral custom of tossing fir branches on the path of a funeral procession. See, people assume it makes the tree a symbol of death, but if you look it up, it was meant to add a living road or to represent life in the face of death, even in folk medicine. For oil is a too big deal thesis, so I find it strange for anyone to call fir trees symbols of death. That doesn't make logical sense to you. No one truly knows how our ancestors did things. Our history has been rewritten. Anyone can write anything online, so use your own logic. Meanwhile, if you want that evergreen look and smell at home, buy a good artificial tree and maybe some pine scented oils. Then spray them around the house. Hang up your ornaments. Let the tree represent renewal. New life started, not a sacrifice to amuse the so-called power steps that be far about the decorations themselves. There's one in particular I really dislike. That five-pointed star, or sometimes a spire-like topper stuck on the top of the tree. It may look pretty harmless, but it's actually a symbol, specifically, the guiding star that ties back to an egregor. If you're trying to avoid pulling any egregorial or magical subtext into your space, skip using that star as a top result. Also be mindful with other symbolic ornaments, little angel figurines, trumpeting angels, or anything that references a particular religious imagery. Tenth the most neutral ornaments are plain round baubles. Just choose carefully if you want to avoid bringing in any unwanted energies. Next, they hinted Moroz or Santa Claus. See, he is by different people on the has already been exposed. Also may on expose those people on the internet. There are tons of videos explaining who he really is and how this character originated. It all points back to the same egregor, the same matrix system that feasts off the holiday. Essentially, this entity feeds on people's energy, especially children's, as a shore. It drains energy from adults too, but kids are the main target. Also, these children's activities, like going around the tree in circles, hand in hand, are not so innocent when viewed as a ritual. Remember what I said about the Matrix. People turn like little cogs in its machinery. That ring around the tree tradition can be seen as just another gear in the Matrix system. Meanwhile, this entity, a Santa or Dead Moros or whatever name you use, it's the same being, just in different forms, is basically invited into every home. The people tell children he'll come at night, bring gifts, and so on. See, but in reality, It's parents placing gifts under the tree edges, so the entity gets to devour the energy of the household at no cost freely. We're basically opening the door, saying, "Come on in, feed on us," while it reaps the credit for the presents we actually paid for, or why hand our own love and generosity over to this being? Why let a child think Santa loves them more than their own parents do? Let your kids know that it's you who brought the gift, that you're doing this out of love, not some mysterious stranger in a costume. Because if you say, "It wasn't me, it was Santa," you're handing away all that appreciation. The kid might then place unconditional love and trust in that entity, while you stand on the sidelines doing nothing. I mean, if a supernatural being really wants to help, fine, but if it's not happening, it's just feeding through, people claim. Oh, but children need to believe in magic. So then give them real magic. Teach them about the power of intention. Show them how they can create their own miracles by visualizing outcomes, by understanding that there are so many worlds, so many layers beyond what we see. That can be far more inspiring than telling them a fictional character sneaks into the house at night with gifts. Children should know their parents are the ones who love them, feed that their parents or grandparents or siblings made an effort to buy this present. Don't build connection with you or your child anyway. Still moving on from that. Still, let's talk about making your child to love making wishes for the new year. Yes, the holiday season is charged with a sense of magic, partly from the positive emotional energy swirling around, partly from that negative magical layer we discussed. But remember, my dear ones, our own intentions and inner states are more powerful than any of their magic combined. See, all those who run these matrix rituals want our energy for themselves. These so they can steer reality the way they want to feel. But guess what? We can just as easily use that collective wave of holiday energy for our own purposes. To many folks say, let the coming year be better, let the world be better, let all our troubles disappear. Or we can ride that wave of positive energy to propel our own intentions for good. We can use it to break down these matrix structures, these manipulative illusions, all the negativity that's been artificially propped up. Die all our united intention can be like a real locomotive powered by all that holiday energy. Imagine this on New Year's Eve Zoo when the clock strikes midnight, or at any symbolic moment. Zoo, you sense all that collective energy and you channel it toward dismantling the old matrix, clearing out the illusions, transforming the world for the better. As I think that would be immensely powerful zeal, far stronger than the spells they're casting. See, because intention always outweighs forced magic. So, see, let's go over the main points again. They seem off daily about Christmas trees, Dead Moroz or Santa Claus, holiday symbols, and so on. The say first of all, regarding Christmas trees, my opinion hasn't changed. I still see cutting down a real tree for the holiday as a form of sacrifice, say a literal sacrificial act here, and I just can't accept it. I don't see how you can genuinely celebrate and feel joy when a living tree is dying right next to you so slowly over the course of a week or two. For anyone who senses plant energies, they understand that trees have souls, that highly developed ones. They're not just grass or leaves feel, they're living beings that absolutely feel what's happening to them. We know trees experience pain when they burn or are cut down. So fit basically do we have this slowly dying creature in the room Z, and we're rejoicing right next to it. Z, for me, that doesn't work. I've heard people say, well, I'm not a poacher. I only cut down one tree that I've earned it after all this time. But think about the logic there, see, that somehow you deserve for a tree to die, simply for a short burst of fun. Honestly, it reminds me of the mentality of conquerors who think they've earned the right to torment people. It's that same twisted mindset, though, so no, I can't see any real joy or positive energy coming from a dying tree. See, if you want a Christmas tree, get an artificial one. We live in the 21st century. There are plenty of beautiful fake trees that don't lose needles. Gee, they don't suffer and die in the corner of your room. They look lovely with decorations, say, and on top of that, your conscience is clear. As for the idea that the tree is a Masonic symbol or a symbol of death, I said last year, and I'll repeat now, a fir tree is just a tree. A living part of nature, see, it's not a Masonic emblem. Some people claim that fir or spruce represents death tree, but come on, see, it's one of the sturdiest, most resilient trees on earth. Conifers stay green all year, they never sleep, they don't shed the needles in winter, they're more a symbol of life than anything else. If anything, they continue to produce energy, oxygen even when everything else is dormant. If you think logically, that's not a symbol of death at all. No one really knows how our distant ancestors celebrated. Our history has been completely written. Events and random myths can spread online. Use logic. For example, if you want the fresh pine smell at home, you can buy pine or fir essential oil in a pharmacy, so then spray it around and it'll smell just as good as a real tree. Hang your ornaments on an artificial tree and let it represent new beginnings, not some sacrificial act that pleases the system behind this holiday. Now, CEO about decorations. One I strongly dislike is the star or spire that people put on top of the tree. Many see it as harmless, but in fact, it's a symbol of specifically the guiding star that belongs to the Egregor program. If you want to avoid pulling those energies into your space, it's better not to use it. The same goes for other symbolic ornaments, like angels with trumpets or any figure that ties directly into some religious or magical motive. The simplest ornaments, like plain round balls, are the safest bet if you don't want to bring in unwanted energetic influences. Next, let's talk about dead Moroz as the Russian Santa. Honestly, there isn't much left to expose that hasn't already been exposed to. There are tons of videos explaining who he really is, where the character originates, and of course, it all ties back to the same egregor, the same matrix system that feasts on human energy. Essentially, it's an entity that feeds on people's energy, especially children's feet, though it also drains adults. Think about the children's activities, like forming a circle around the tree, holding hands, walking in a ring V if you look at it from a ritual perspective. It's like people turning the gears of the matrix. The real tree is also part of that ritual. If it's a cut tree, a sacrificial symbol was, so it's not as innocent as it seems from the outside. Meanwhile, this entity, whether we call it Santa Dead Moroz or something else, is always welcomed into our homes. Feel we invited in, encourage our kids to believe it'll come at night with gifts, but in reality, the parents are the ones putting the gifts under the tree, so the entity gets to eat energetically at no cost, few while also receiving all the praise from the children. Why would we, as parents, hand over our own love and generosity to some entity? If you tell your child, Santa brought you this gift, then you're basically saying, I didn't do anything special, just as some magical stranger loves you more. So the child's trust and gratitude get directed toward that mythical figure, instead of strengthening the genuine bond with you. If there really were some benevolent supernatural being, sure, but come on, how do we know how this system works? It's pure feeding. Some people say children need to believe in magic, but you can give them real magic by teaching them how intention works, showing them there are many layers to reality, that have the power to create and manifest. Wouldn't that be a better use of their innate wonder than telling them a fictional entity sneaks in while they sleep? Children should know that you, their parent or relative, brought them the gift out of love. That's so much more genuine. Let them see your real affection and care. It's better for them, they'll appreciate and trust you, not some made-up character. Moving on to the topic of New Year's wishes and intentions, we all know the holiday season can feel magical partly because of the collective excitement and positivity, partly because of these manipulative magical layers we've been discussing. But remember, our intentions and energies are far stronger than any negative magic they embed. The reason the holiday is manipulated so much is that they want a huge outpouring of human energy so they can steer it the way they want. But we can turn that around, that we can use that same collective energy wave to power our own intentions. When people wish for a better year, a better world, deep freedom from problems, all those heartfelt desires carry big energy. If we unify that energy consciously, we can direct it toward dismantling the matrix illusions, clearing away the negativity propped up by the powers that be, and transforming everything for the better. Imagine that moment right at midnight when the clock strikes Z, or whenever you feel that surge of holiday spirit. You can tap into all that echotive energy of joy and anticipation Z and channel it into your own powerful intention, far stronger than any ritual they do behind the scenes. Intention always wins out over forced or manipulative magic. So Thief, that's really all I have for today. Theo, let's just turn this world upside down with our combined. We'll say I love you all, see. All till next time. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share my channel. Become a member of my Telegram channel and discuss with like-minded people as a supporting club member.